Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, but for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in through our online affiliates through iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. We're excited to welcome back Executive Editor Sarah Janssen to our program today. Sarah's going to talk to us about the World Almanac and Book of Facts 2022, some of the features of it that you guys can look forward to, and talk a little bit about why this is such a beloved book that comes out every year. Sarah, really appreciate the time again.
Thank you so much for having me again. Nice to be here.
Sarah, this book is always something that is looked forward to. It's already a bestseller on Amazon. It is a New York Times bestseller as well. I mean, what do you think makes the World Almanac something that people feel like is a go-to for them every year?
I think that it's definitely a tradition for a lot of people. It's one of those things that you know that you can expect to find in stores in December every year. I think that people really like to have in one place, all of the events of the past year, just because so much can happen within a year's time, and it's really easy to lose track of everything. I think it's also really great to have a tool with all of the questions for the upcoming year. So looking ahead to 2022, you've got answers to anything you might have a question about.
Well, of course, one of the big things that kind of has encompassed all of our lives, even now with the new variant, is the coronavirus. That's one of the special features of this year's Almanac. What can people expect there, Sarah, when it comes to looking at the status of the coronavirus as well as the impact it's had?
Obviously, tracking the numbers behind the coronavirus pandemic has been a huge task for World Almanac editors, not just this year, but the past year as well. And we just wanted to provide a really great source of data. What were the numbers looking like, not just here in the U.S. At the state level, but also nationally, globally, in individual countries around the world. Then also, it's kind of hard to believe right now, but at this time last year, we were just seeing the first vaccines being rolled out here and around the world, and that's something that we are getting new numbers on throughout 2021 as well.
Yeah. Speaking of the world, that is one of the other features that's in this almanac that has become a popular thing, the world at a glance. I mean, what was that like for you as this information was being compiled to kind of look at how the world has been impacted in the year that's been 2021?
I mean, the world at a glance section is a really great example of just how much the World Almanac can put together and pull out to provide a useful tool for readers. The World at a Glance section really just seeks to highlight some of the more interesting tidbits that might otherwise get a little lost, or maybe it's buried in a table that you might not flip to. So we're just trying to highlight some really interesting information, whether that's, the insane increase in e-cig usage in the past 10, 20 years, or the really unprecedented since World War II decline in life expectancy in the United States. These are numbers that do say something about, the world as we know it, and maybe something to keep an eye on looking forward.
Another big thing that happened in 2021 that is a part of this year's Almanac, Sarah, is, the end of America's longest war, that being in Afghanistan. Talk to us about that. What was that like for you to kind of take us back through the history and also, of course, the events of this year?
It was a really tough feature to work on. 20 years is a long time, and it was one of those things where we knew sort of going into 2021 that this was going to be a big story. There's an agreement signed in 2020 that sort of dictated the terms of the withdrawal finally happening after 20 years, but no one really knew what it was going to look like on the ground, certainly. And when we started seeing those images as the withdrawal really picked up in the late summer, it was certainly something that I think everyone stopped and paused and was sort of had to take a moment with. So the World Almanac editors really wanted to put these 20 years in context, the history of the conflict as it was conducted under 4 presidents, and just really provide a great resource for people to look back up.
The last thing I want to mention with you, Sarah, is, again, one of my favorites, because I think for anyone who loves pictures, the World Almanac always gives us that. I mean, you have the year in pictures. What was it like for you to kind of see those full-color images in the finished product, and the way it was able to showcase in pictures events from around the world?
The year in pictures, I have to say, is always one of our favorite sections to work on. You know, Almanac editors dig into a lot of black and white data, so it's always fun when we get to work on something that's in full color, even when we're covering serious news topics, because there's so many fantastic images of the events that happened in 2021 in there. And that's not just, you know, the straightforward news stories, but also a really great section commemorating those who have passed in the last year, sort of like the slideshow at the Oscars, but in static page form. It's something that we look forward to putting together every year, because it's a really great visual way to wrap up all of the events of 2021 right in one place.
Such a great thing. It's always something that I look forward to being able to see, and it's great to be able to have you back on, Sarah, to talk about it. What is your hope as people are bringing this into their home, to be able to kind of have this book of facts? What do you hope it does for them, not only, of course, now, but also going into 2022?
My biggest hope is that people will pick up the World Almanac and find something to be curious about. They may pick it up to go straight to one section and flip to a random page and be hooked on something that they would have never thought to look up for themselves. And I really think that that's something that the World Almanac is so great at. It can point you in the direction of information that you might not have thought to look up for yourself, but will get you engaged and will get you wanting to learn more about something in this world that you didn't know you were interested in to begin with.
Such a great point. Again, everyone, Executive Editor Sarah Janssen has been our guest, talking with us about the new release, the World Almanac and Book of Facts for 2022. You guys can get your copy through Amazon.com or through, of course, your favorite local bookstore for sure. Sarah, really appreciate you stopping back by the program.
Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
Glad to do it, and we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live, and let's go make today amazing. Take care.